Okay.
So here we are at the last mile of the way for the last trail, Crib Gap Trail, and we're gonna head up Anthony Creek and then we're gonna head down Crib Gap and we're gonna finish at 1.6 miles. And to be 900s, we're gonna have 2,000 miles.
And we'll go the last mile of the way as we walk to the close of the day. It costs you to get any more. We have Carla and Inez and Sue and James, and Wayne is doing the video, and we are walking the last mile of the way.
Of the 900.
Of the 900, hopefully
of the
not all of them. We've turned around and here we go.
You've got to come with us.
All right, buddy. I'll have her done twice.
I've been telling stories.
Then tell me a story. Tell me what you.
We were walking up here one morning. We were going up to Russell Field. I think that was the morning we saw you over here when you were camped. James came up here. He said, "God Almighty, there's a 700-pound catfish in there." Yeah, James, I don't believe there's a 700-pound catfish down there. He said, "Well, yeah, he saw it down there."
What was it?
I think it was a weasel.
It wasn't me, but it looked like catfish.
It was not a 700-pound catfish.
Tell us some trail stories.
Tell us about the time James fell off.
And you tell us about what I was going to think.
Well, I tell you what now, you might get told on if I start telling trail stories here. Are you sure you want me to tell trail stories?
Yes, please.
Oh, look at the crows back there. You tell us you tell us that one, Carla. When we were on there.
We're much better narrator.
When we were,
Tell them about the time Carla called me a SOB.
no, this is for public consumption. No, this is not what we're going to be telling. There's some stories that stay on the trail, and then there are others for public consumption.
Well, what was the hardest trail you did?
Come on.
To be honest with you, I think the hardest trail was probably from Quinman's Dome down Thunderhead.
Yes.
I do.
I think it was either Cold Springs or the Cosby Tree.
Now the Cosby was not as hard for me. It was the longest. That's the 25-mile one. But when we went down Thunderhead, it was up and down and up and down, and then we got slowed down for so long, helping those two guys through there.
Yeah.
And it got dark, and that was one of the things that bothered me was the fact that Bill's sitting down there waiting, and we're 2 hours late, and it's dark in the woods. Not that I knew we'd get out of the woods okay, just worried about everybody else, wondering what was wrong with it. That was fun. Yeah, the snake. The most interesting trails that we did was Old Settlers Trail, which is a 17-mile hike. We hadn't been out on the trails in quite a while. It was up in April. But it's a nice trail, undulating up and down, up and down, up and down. It's really hard for Annie. She got overheated on that trail. Really hard for Carla, but it's really hard for me because we're going up the trail. And so we've talked to a ranger and they've told us always carry along bee spray because this is the finest thing to get rid of bees, to get rid of bears, to get rid of snakes, perfect stuff. So when we sat down and ate our lunch that day, Annie couldn't get her bee spray to work. So we thought about throwing it away. But we carried it along with us. So we were going up the trail. And it was Old Settlers Trail has a lot of open places on it, a lot of old house sites on it. And I was in front, I was doing the leading that day. And as I went up the trail, there was an open place over to the right, a little branch running here. And right in the middle of that trail was a snake, a black snake. It wasn't very big, it was probably about this long. And it wasn't big around as my finger. And I told Annie, I said, I'm gonna get that out of the trail before Carla sees that and it scares her. So I punched it with my stick. Boy, was that a mistake, because when I punched that darn snake, it rose up and made a circle and came back down that trail after me. And James hollered, "Let me get up there, let me get up there." So he came up and it started snapping and biting at his foot, and he's stomping at it. And Carla said, "Get the bee stuff out, honey, get the bee stuff out." Mama, I don't think she said Iny. Finally, Iny grabbed that bee spray out and she squirted that snake right in the eye, and it went off down into the branch, and that was the end of that snake. So we think that's probably where the hoop snake legend comes from. Wait, she still carries that bee spray, but I don't clear the path for Carla anymore. She says take a chance.
Laid out way past there. Bath time. It was school night, and I couldn't find them. And I went to the sheriff's department, and finally, Raleigh James pinged her, and she was in Tennessee. So I called the law on my own folks.
Because they did to see the fireflies and they didn't have a phone.
And it showed.
They're standing back there on that lawn.
I'm not really crippled. This is just to hit bears with. Now, checking these boots out, you'll see a pair of boots that pretty rough shape, but these are boots that have done a lot of mileage. And they got a right to look rough. That's why I wore them today. They're kind of special.
First pair of shoes you had were those old tennis shoes, and it took us a long time to figure out you got to have good shoes. So we were up on that same trail that we did last week, from Newfound Gap to Clingman's Dome, and got into a rainstorm, and there was a gully about like this and about like that, and that water just running down through there. So our feet were soft and wet. And I told James then, I said, I am not going back hiking until I get a pair of good shoes. So we went and bought us some new shoes, and I bought Columbia's. They were the best shoes, and I absolutely wore them out. So this year I put dirt in them and put flowers in them. So he said he's going to start off with the shoes that he wore, and I said, well, mine's got dirt in them. I can't go back and get mine.
Once and long ago, Sue and I hiked to this airplane crash. It was on the trail over there at Cosby, Tennessee, named the Snake Den Trail. And I picked up a piece of the nose of the airplane. It kind of looked like a rim on a bicycle where it was riveted together. And I scratched F4 Phantom on it so that other people, when they found it, might be able to get on the internet and track down the tragedy that happened there. So anyway, I leaned it up against a tree. Well, about 3 or 4 weeks later, had Inez and Carla with me, and Sue. We were hiking the same trail. And little Carla, she picks up the same piece of aluminum nose, still leaned against the tree. And she said, Uncle James. I said, what? She said, some son of a bitch has scratched on this piece of aluminum out of that plane crash. I said, yeah, Carla, that was your uncle. I was up here about 3 weeks ago. So we've had our fun as we hike. And although we had a good laugh over that, it really wasn't a laughing matter. 2 fine young men gave their life in the service to our country in that plane crash.
Anna and Joe, we love you so much, and this is a real accomplishment.
We're very proud of
Yeah,
you.
very proud of you.
Very proud.
Very proud. They never talk about how fast they make the trail. They talk about what they see. And they've always got good stories. And I'm very proud of them. But I do like the fact that they take their time to look around and enjoy it. They think.
Around the house. We came in on the pad, Wayne. Look like that rock down there. Keep that.
Real skill, huh?
Town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. Music would play in old Rose's cantina. Music would play and old Polina or somebody would whirl.
I think one of the funniest things that happened on our adventures is when we were walking a trail that had numerous creek crossings on it, and somehow I managed to stay dry. I didn't fall in the water, and so did James. And so after we crossed all the creek crossings, we're walking down the trail, and we come across this, or we come to this little mud hole, and it's like that wide, that long, and James is walking along, and he just falls down in the mud hole. After all those creek crossings, he falls in a little mud hole this big. I think that was one of the funniest.